Alright, everyone, so here we have the first war of Season 41, and today's theme is going to be recovery. Because, spoiler alert, I get hit to various degrees of seriousness in literally every single one of these fights. I don't die, though, which in some places is probably going to be exciting to know. So, let's start off. First off, I've taken this thing fight with Reed before. The idea is you don't use suppression because you want to be able to fully control his rock stacks. And sometimes neutralize is going to allow you to intentionally play into the unstoppable and trigger it and avoid it, the same way as if you're using Tigra. You just cannot be sure of that because the neutralize is itself not guaranteed. And so that means that you kind of still have to play around the rock stacks. You just also need to pay attention to when your neutralize is up, and you can not play around it. It's weird. Like you see right there, I intentionally played into it, took him to 15 again anyway, and I go ahead and I throw that heavy because I knew my neutralize was still up and I needed to refresh my debuffs. So far, this is all going great. I even go ahead and throw the special 3 here. His protection is on cooldown, therefore this is going to do a lot of damage before triggering protection. We're not caring at all about the personal space healing buffs, because when they trigger, they are controlled entirely by the combination of Despair and 80% Petrify. This is going really, really well. If I'm saying that, and I told you I got hit in all of my fights, you know something's about to happen. And honestly, right now watching this, I forget exactly what that is. This is probably the start. Because right here, yep, there it is. No, I did intentionally throw that because I know the special 2 is 3 hits. But I was hoping that it would land. Because if it landed, then I would have a chance at neutralizes, and then I would also knock him down. If that had landed, it would have knocked him down. I would have had 15 seconds without having to do anything else. Instead, I am in the corner, my debuffs are completely gone, I'm not getting good evade luck, he is healing, this is not going well. Thankfully, I was paying attention enough to, again, notice that he was at 12 rock stacks, and throw my special 2, and this time it did connect, did knock him down. We are back into the race, and I also noticed that I had the neutralize up, and so I felt comfortable pushing him unstoppable again. We do this yet another time. See, there's the neutralize in the middle. It actually can control us even there. We get him to 15. We have pretty much salvaged this. We're back where we were, right? We took a fair amount of damage because we got caught in the corner against an angry thing below a bar of power, which is something you never want to do. But between Reed's own protections, my ability to count to 15, and definitely a heavy reliance on the tactic, we are back in control of this fight. Heavy counters are also very important here. This is one of those fights where I know Reed can take it, and so I feel comfortable assigning it, but this is also not a fight that I would just assign to anyone who has ranked Reed because of what you just saw. That is as spectacularly as it can possibly go wrong. It is my first fight of the war season. We stayed calm. It's going to cost me potions. I can get over that. So next up we have Blade versus Spot. Spot is of course a dimensional being, and so we're going to turn off a lot of things from this node, but we're not going to rely on turning things off because it's only a 40% ability accuracy reduction, right? What we're actually doing here is we are relying on Blade's power gain from bleeds, which he applies on his parries. See, there's me getting hit. Thankfully that one was just a miss parry. To give us enough power to get to a special 2, and then that's going to allow us to do this. More power gain from the bleeds gets us almost back up to another special 2, and he is very close to going untouchable. but we did manage to bait out a heavy, gain just enough power from the bleeds to throw a special into the heavy, and then finish it off with some deep wounds damage on a parry. So that went well. We move on to this Apocalypse on Power Snack. Apocalypse is, of course, tactic, but as we've seen, so is Reed. And so this one should be pretty clean. Again, doesn't work terribly well if you miss the first parry and think you didn't. Not really sure where that's coming from. But we go ahead and get to our special 2 before he gets to a bar of power, and so that first power sting didn't hurt us. That is already very good. Again, Reed's suppression is amazing, even with him having some flourish. We eat that power sting there to knock him down again and to fate seal him, pushing him over 2 bars. He throws his special 2. We trigger Power Snack, but we're blunting it with our Petrifies. This is going very well. I'm not worried about this. I don't love that I got hit earlier on, but again, that's just a potion. We have this Power Sting on us. I willingly eat it, because I know that with all these debuffs we have on him, Inequity is really helping us out in blunting his attack rating. It's not going to be that bad, right? I am going to wait this one out because I can afford to while baiting. Note that we almost reversed Power Snack there. We have 120% Petrify on him, but he has 125% Flourish, and so he gained 5% of the normal power he would gain from Power Snack. Still, obviously, Reed is keeping it under control, and we close it out just a little bit of Power Sting damage, and that one combo. Moving on to Attuma. Attuma is going to be a very dangerous fight for Doom before too long when his buff comes out, but for now, he's not. Doom can easily knock him down with the passive stun off of his shocks. Shocks help to control hydration in the first place. And then you also have power control so that you're not as worried about Attuma stacking up a bunch of hydration in the first place. But really, all we're doing here is basically hitting him until he falls over. I would really love to not mess up the water ball decks, because that is my least favorite thing about his defensive kit. But here we go, we have the Doom cycle. We're going to go through this, and I would love to get one more intercept off before I throw the special 2, but it's not the end of the world if I don't. See, we take a little bit of Thorns, but it's just not that threatening. We go ahead and try and throw... No, we push him to this. I tried to catch him on the dash in there and get it to count as an intercept, but he was clearly not actually in his medium animation, and so we didn't remove the protection in time for our special 2. He catches me on a backdraft there. That wasn't fun, but Doom has a ton of armor, so that's all fine. Something spectacular is coming up. Let's see. How did this happen? Yup. There it is. So I didn't mess up the water ball decks, per se. I ran full speed into it, going for an intercept. Man, what a war. I burned so many potions on dumb things, but, you know, the joke I made to my chat is that this war is basically me shaking the rust off from off-season in a very literal and violent sense, and you can see that through these fights. Sasquatch here is tough. This is, again, not one that I would send everyone to, because you do have to be pretty comfortable with Sasquatch as well as with Doom, but I do consider myself comfortable with him, and basically we just hope that he plays a little bit nice with Wrath of Tanarak, and that we can Doom cycle a little bit. Because the important part here is really not the first part of the fight. I don't really care how many times he goes into Wrath of Tanarak or how nice he plays until he gets to about 40%. At 40%, it becomes more important for us to get the intercept so that we can remove protection, boost our special 2, and do some big damage to try and chunk through the part of the fight where he can actually heal. That is the danger here. So we're starting off with a big special 3 here. That's all fine. We're going through our Doom cycle. We have power backs on. We have invulnerability boost on. We're doing the things. But there's not really much purpose to throwing a special 2 here, because, as you can tell, like, we're literally doing 0 damage. 10 stacks of protection plus the ebb and flow protection is 100% protection. You cannot do damage through that. And so I knew that I just needed to wait this out. I have 3 bars of power. I can put him through his paces and control the arena pretty quickly after this, but I need to wait this out. There, we go ahead and hit him. We know he's going to throw that special one immediately. Try and get the intercept there. Try and go for it again and get parried. And that is 100% on me. I should have waited for him to actually dash. This is just one of those places where my reflexes are not amazing. Now here, I probably should have thrown the special 3 for power control reasons. Instead, I think I just let him go for Wrath again because he is not throwing this. Like, you can tell what I was trying to do here is get him to throw the special so that I could then get an intercept. But now he's back up to enough stacks that we're doing 0 damage again, and so we just lost an entire cycle doing nothing. Almost literally nothing, just a little bit of block hit damage. And that's what's going to make this fight scary. Because that is a whole bunch of health that I could have been chunking through, and I'm not. If we had been able to get through that cycle, he would probably be sitting at the 40%, and if we could just get 1 intercept, then we could close this out. But that is not what happened. We are just now getting to 40%, and there are 2 minutes left. That is starting to scare me. Like, this is okay if he throws this immediately. But no, he full combos and heavies into block. There I throw this again to get the double fury, and I'm really hoping that after this one I can get an intercept, because then that should close it out. Let's see. I am starting to worry about time. We have the double fury, we doom cycle properly, we get our bars of power, and does he throw the special? No, I thought he was running at us, and I make the same mistake as Attuma. That's on me, but man, this guy is turtling a lot. And then I don't quite have the resources, or the reflexes, sorry, to get an intercept there. And now we're back to doing no damage. I think I didn't even notice that we were doing no damage here. Yeah. Sometimes this is just how Sasquatch is. He is not particularly fun. This is why he's a timeless defender, because he's just a giant sack of hit points that sometimes refuses to let you chip away at it. As I've called out, better reflexes would have done this for me. It's also definitely sticking out to me on rewatching this just how turtly he was. He wasn't charging at me after blocks. He was, for the most part, just either blocking or doing a single light and then blocking again, and that is extremely annoying. It's also why this is a good placement, right? They put him here for a reason, and me making even a small mistake forcing this counter instead of, say, Human Torch is causing some problems. But we are close. I go ahead and throw this. If I had had just a split second longer on the Fury, it would have been done. He throws this, I wait, and I force that intercept because I knew I needed to, and I close it out with 1 second left. A solo is a solo, but we definitely need to make sure that we are getting more of our intercepts next time. That was scary. Not gonna sugarcoat that one. It was entirely too close. Anyway, on to this Mephisto, which on paper is arguably a worse matchup, because Aspect of Evolution means that he's only going to be proccing more and more auras. Enhanced power gain means that even fully ramped, Reed is only cutting his total power by about 60%, from 200 down to 80. It's tough. I'm not Incinerate immune, but the other factors that Reed has here help. I am immediately limiting his combat power rate through the Petrify Mastery and the Suppression debuff, and so that's going to mean that Aspect of Evolution triggers less often. I don't have to dex his specials for fear of block damage because my evade chance is going to be so high. My special animations are themselves pretty generous as far as keeping me away, so I don't take a lot of aura damage. And of course, I also have some energy resistance to blunt the incinerates themselves. Combine that with the fact that Reed is capable of playing an almost entirely parry-heavy playstyle with a one-hit heavy, and the fact that we're not hitting into his block, and we're just not giving him that many chances to trigger aura. So even a very high sig Mephisto, I'm not getting that lucky here. I am getting lucky, but even if he was triggering aura more often, it wouldn't be an issue. We completely shut off his healing, and thus far, you can tell he's only crossed 3 bars of power, so Aspect of Evolution has only triggered 3 times. That's why this is such a good matchup. Now, that was me misjudging my parry, so like I said, got hit in every single fight. There's our bingo right there. But we're going to go ahead and throw this and close it out. Still a very, very good counter. Not worth it, in my opinion, risking sending a blade here with and trying to get Spark alongside when Reed does it this cleanly. And so that was War 1. We did have a disconnect early on, but despite the fact that I was not the only person with some very rough fights this war, everybody else's looked a lot like mine, where it was like, oh god, why did I do that? But nobody else actually died. And so BG3 started off the season with, I'm going to call it a dirty donut because of the disconnect, but the person who disconnected literally had 4 minutes of footage of the spinning wheel. We know they weren't faking that, and so I'm going to call it. I'm really, really happy with a Deathless Clear coming out of off-season, with 2 new people in the battle group, including Campo back home. Love that. For those of you who remember Campo being in my battle group in SSx way back when. And yeah, this is just good start to a season. So I will say you're probably going to be waiting a little bit for War 2. I've already done all the fights, but there are only 4 of them. And I am going out of town this next week. And so I think I will just save them because they are about 2 minutes total. And just tack those onto War 3 when I get back. But I will be doing some other videos, including a spotlight with context video for the buff to OG Spider-Man. So keep an eye out for that. And until next time, thank you so much for watching, and take care.